Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this bracelet right here. This bracelet is my own original design and it is called the two-way triple single bracelet. Now you may be looking at this bracelet like it's kind of just the regular triple single, but if you look a little bit closer at the bracelet, you'll see that here are this middle row of rubber bands, so this single chain here in the middle is going in the opposite direction compared to the two single chains on the outside here. So as you can see, if you just look a little bit closer, the loops or little teardrops for the middle row are pointing that direction, so towards the left, and the single chains, the little teardrop shapes for the outer two rows of the bracelet are pointing to the right. So yeah, I'm going to be showing you how to make this bracelet. And to make this bracelet, you will need a loom. Any loom will work. This tutorial is for all looms, so just any ordinary flat loom like this one, you can make the bracelet with. So you won't need any special removable pin bars or anything. You will need a hook. I'm just going to be using this hook here. Any hook that you can make yourself a triple single with will work. So you don't really need a metal tipped hook like I do have right now. You will also need a clip. Any clip that is for rubber band bracelets will work. I'm just using a C-clip. And of course you will need rubber bands. So as you can see here, we have three different groups, the A, B, and the C group. And I'm just going to go ahead and explain what each group is. So, this A group here, top left corner, these are the rubber bands that are going to be the center row, so this middle single chain in your bracelet, the green in this example. These B rubber bands in the top right corner, they're going to be the rubber bands in the outer two single chains, so the single chains on the outside of the bracelet, so the orange rubber bands in this example. And the C rubber bands are going to be the rubber bands that are going to be here holding the three rows of single chains together. So you don't make your bracelet and it's just three separate single chains. You're going to have these rubber bands holding all three single chains together and making this the two-way triple single. The C rubber bands, they also include the cap band as well. So make sure you include the cap band with your C rubber bands. In order to figure out how many rubber bands you're going to need to know how many rubber bands you need to make a triple single on your loom. So the number of how to figure out how many rubber bands you'll need is of each type you're going to need is going to appear on the screen now. Alright, and now that you know what you're going to need, get your supplies, use the pause button so that you can do so, and I will see you once you have everything. Alright, so to begin making your bracelet, you're going to need all of your A color rubber bands, so the rubber bands that will be the middle single chain on your bracelet, and for rainbow looms you will need 12, because that's how many I have. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So to begin, you're going to need the arrow on your loom pointing away from you. So make sure the arrow is pointing away. And once you are sure of that, you know the arrow is pointing away from you, you're going to go all the way up here to the top of your loom where you have the pins that kind of look like, so the end of your loom, like up here. Not the beginning, but back here at the end. Alright. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing these A color rubber bands backwards on your loom. So, usually when you're placing rubber bands and the arrow is pointing away from you, you would place rubber bands starting down here at the bottom and going up your loom. But in this tutorial, for this bracelet, you will be placing the rubber bands from the top and going down your loom, so coming down towards you. So, to do that, Well, I just pretty much told you. You get a rubber band. You start here on this first middle pin, or I guess I should say the last middle pin. Get an 8-color rubber band and place it going down your loom towards you on the second to last middle pin. Now you're just going to get another 8-color rubber band and kind of continue this chain like you're making a single chain. So now you're on the second to last middle pin. Now you're going to get this 8-color rubber band and place it going forwards, or I guess going down to this third to the last middle pin. So just like you're making a single chain, except you're placing the rubber bands backwards. So just go ahead and continue the single chain going all the way down the middle pin bar on your loom, and then I'll tell you what to do from there. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward. Use the pause button if you need to. Alright, so as you can see here, I have placed all of my 8-color rubber bands going down my loom from the end here and coming down towards me. So now I'm here on this first middle pin. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to want to get all of our B-color rubber bands now. And for people who have a Rainbow Loom, you should have 26 B-color rubber bands. So yeah, make sure you have 26. And if you have a different loom, you may have a different amount of B-color rubber bands. But anyway, to place your B-color rubber bands, what you're going to do is you're going to keep the arrow on your loom pointing away from you. And we're going to start here on the first middle pin. So we're not going to come all the way up here like we did before. We're going to start placing rubber bands on this first middle pin. So it's kind of like making a regular triple single. What you would do is you get a B-color rubber band, and we start by placing it going outwards from this first middle pin to this first left pin. Now we're going to go ahead, get another B-color rubber band, and we're going to place a single chain of them going down the left pin bar, and we're going to stop when we get to the second to the last left pin bar. So this pin right here, or pin, did I say pin bar? I meant pin. So not this pin here, but not the last one, but the one before it. So you make a single chain, so you start here on the first middle pin, or left pin, you get a B-color rubber band, place it going forwards to the second left pin, get another B-color rubber band, go from this, place it going from the second left to the third left pin, and so on. So just continue placing B-color rubber bands until you get to the second to the last left pin. I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward, use the pause button if you need to. Alright, so here's just what I meant. You place B-color rubber bands going so first going outwards from this middle pin to the left, and then going up the left pin bar, and stopping when you get to the second to the last left pin. So not this last one here. This one should not have any rubber bands on it. So once you get to this point, what you're going to do is you're going to get a B-color rubber band, so one more, and you're going to place it going inwards from the second to the last left pin to the last middle pin. So make sure you have that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing, only now on the right side of our loom. So I won't be explaining the right side, what you're supposed to do, as much, because you're doing exactly what you did here on the left, now on the right. So you would just start off by getting a B-color rubber band and going outwards from this first middle pin. The arrow is still pointing the same direction. And then you just place a single chain going down the right side of your loom, stopping on the second to the last right pin, and then going inwards to the middle. So that's all you gotta do on the right. If you're not sure what I'm trying to say, then just mirror, so look at what you have on the left and just copy it on the right. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually fast forward me placing the B color rubber bands on the right. And yeah, just use the pause button if you need to. Alright, as you can see here, I've placed all of my A and B color rubber bands. And make sure you place this B color rubber band that goes inwards from the right to the middle. And make sure the last left and right pins do not have anything on them. There shouldn't be anything on these pins yet. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to get all of our C color rubber bands. So now we're going to place all of our C color rubber bands except for one. This one C color rubber band we're taking away is our cap band, and we're going to go ahead and put this C color rubber band off to the side. Alright, so for everyone with a Rainbow Loom, you should have had 11 C color rubber bands, but now you should have 10. And I think I have way too many. Yeah, I have too many. Alright, there we go. So now you should have 10 C color rubber bands with one extra. But if you have a different loom, you may have a different number of these rubber bands. Alright, so to place these rubber bands, these C color rubber bands, we're going to need to start here on the second pins. So the second left pin, the second middle pin, and this second right pin. So they should create this kind of triangular shape on your loom. And they should be an upside down triangle because the arrow is pointing away from us still. Has not changed at all in this tutorial. Alright, so what you do is you just get a C color rubber band, and we're just going to place it going across all 3 of the second pins. So, the second left pin, the second middle pin, and the second right pin. So it's creating this upside down triangle shape the pins were making when we looked at them. So you should have something like this on your loom now. And what we're going to do is we're going to get another C color rubber band, and we're going to make another upside down triangle shape on the third pins. Just like that. Now once again, we're going to do the same thing with another C color rubber band, only we're going to be going across all of the fourth pins here. Like that. And you're just going to continue placing these C color rubber bands going up your loom until you run out of C color rubber bands. Make sure you've taken out your one C color rubber band that will be a cap band. So, just continue placing them, all of your C rubber bands. And I'm not going to fast forward since I'm almost finished, but still use the pause button if you need to. The noise that makes. Alright, so you should stop here on the third to the last pins. So you have your last pins here, 1, 2, 3. Your second to the last pins, 1, 2, 3. And you should have run out of C color rubber bands on the third to the last pins. So these 3 here. You should still have your extra C color rubber band. Alright. So anyway, now we have finished placing all of the rubber bands that we need to for our bracelet, except for the cap band, of course. And, well, because of this, it's time to loom. So go ahead and get your hook and your last C color rubber band. Alright, so to begin looming your bracelet, you're going to need to make sure that the arrow on your loom is now pointing towards you. So you'll need to turn your loom around. Now the arrow's pointing towards me. At least my loom is. So I do apologize if you can't really see my arrow, but it's pointing towards me now, and yours should be as well. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start looming. Now before we grab our hook, we're going to get our last C color rubber band. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it into a cap band. And to do that, we're going to twist the rubber band like an 8 or infinity shape so it looks like this. Something like this at least. Then you're going to want to fold this rubber band back on top of itself like a book. And now, it should look like you have 2 rubber bands instead of 1. Now what we're going to do with this new cap band is we're going to put it on this first middle pin. Just like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our hook and start looming. And to begin looming, we're going to pull back this cap band on the first middle pin, grab the top rubber band, and loom it outwards to the second left pin. That is where this rubber band should be coming from. And once you have loomed this rubber band here, we're going to go ahead, pull back the top rubber bands on the second left pin, grab the bottom rubber band, and loom this rubber band forwards as well. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm not sure if you were looking at the screen, but what just happened when I loomed this rubber band here is what should be happening for all of the rubber bands that you loom. So, as I was looming this rubber band forwards, so just go ahead and watch. As you can see, this rubber band here that is on the second left pin, so on this pin here. So the rubber bands that are on the second left pin are being pulled forwards as I pull this rubber band that's on my hook forwards. So make sure this is happening for your rubber bands here. And make sure it pulls all of the rubber bands on the second left pin forwards. So make sure it gets all of them, not just one little layer or something. So same thing for this next rubber band that we loom. So here on the third left pin, we now have this triangle C-color rubber band. All we do for that is just pull the C-color rubber band back, grab the bottom rubber band, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my loom so you can see. So once you go to loom this rubber band forwards, it should be pulling, so the rubber band that's on your hook should be pulling these rubber bands that are on your loom, on the previous pin, should be being pulled forwards with it. So make sure that is happening. And once you loom the rubber band forwards, there you go, you've loomed the rubber band forwards. Now, what was just happening on my loom is not happening on your loom. You probably placed your rubber bands backwards or you're looming backwards, but it's more likely that you placed your rubber bands backwards, and you'll need to go back and fix that. You'll also probably want to fix the middle row as well, just to make sure you didn't do anything incorrectly, and so you can get your two-way triple single bracelet. So you'll need to go back and fix that. But anyway, that's all you do for this left row here. You just pull back any top rubber bands that are on the next pin, grab the bottom rubber band and loom it forwards to the next left pin, going all the way down, or all the way up I guess now, all the way up your loom until you get to this last left pin. So I'm going to go ahead and actually fast forward until I get to that point, and just use the pause button if you need to. Alright, so as you can see here, I have gotten to the last left pin on my loom, and you should have as well. And once you get all the way up here, you need to loom this rubber band that goes inwards from the left to the middle. Well, you're gonna have to loom it. So you get your hook, you go into this last left pin, grab this B color rubber band that's there, and just loom it inwards to where it is coming from, and that should be the middle. So make sure that thing where the rubber bands are all being pulled forwards happens, and now we're gonna go back to the beginning of our loom again and do the exact same thing here on the right. So we're back here on this first middle pin, arrows still pointing towards us. We're gonna go ahead, get our hook, pull back the cap band, grab the top rubber band, and loom it outwards to the right now, so the second right pin. We're we're going to do the exact same thing we did here on the left, now on the right. So make sure when you go to pull back rubber bands and grab the bottom rubber band and loom it forwards, make sure when you are looming the rubber band forwards that the rubber bands on the previous pin are being pulled kind of forwards along with the rubber band on your hook. Okay, so that's happening for me, so I can go ahead and just continue. And yeah, so make sure also when you get up here to the top of your loom that you loom this rubber band that goes from the right pin bar to the middle inwards, so make sure you loom that rubber band. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward, use the pause button if you need to, and once you finish looming the right side, I will be showing you what to do for here in the middle. Alright, so as you can see here, I've loomed all of my B color rubber bands, and you should have as well. And now what we're going to do is we're going to loom our A color rubber bands, or in other words, the rubber bands that are in the middle of our bracelet, the center single chain. So middle single chain here, which is green. Yeah. So to do this, we're going to go ahead, turn our loom around again, and the arrow should be pointing away from us now. Now this may be weird, or well, this is pretty weird for making a bracelet, because when you go to loom, you don't loom the bracelet with the arrows pointing away from you, you do it with the arrows pointing towards you. But that's how we have to do it for this tutorial, because not everyone has a middle pin bar that you can just take out and turn around and make the bracelet the other way. But I do have a loom that can do that, but in this tutorial this is for all regular looms, so yeah, I'm going to be showing you what to do for the middle here. So, to loom the middle pin bar, to loom the middle single chain, what you'll need to do is you'll need to go into this first middle pin, so this new first middle pin, and you're not going to want to go behind the pin, because as you can see there's no little gap or area for your hook to go in. You'll need to go behind the pin, so go in like this. So now all the pins look like horseshoes. So you're going to go in the top of the horseshoe. You're going to make sure you catch all of the rubber bands on your hook like so. And then you're going to want to wrap your hook, so not really wrap, but go around the pin so that you're kind of off to the side like this. And you can be off to the right if you're right-handed, but I'm left-handed, so I'll be over here on the left. And then you're going to kind of turn your hook, and it's kind of difficult to see or to show you, so your hook, you're going to turn it so that you can grab a hold of this rubber band. So this A color rubber band on the very bottom, they're going to grab that A color rubber band, kind of come out of the pin, not from the same spot. You might want to go kind of like around the pin like this, and then kind of carefully as possible and as slowly and patient, as carefully as possible, get the rubber band, kind of like move your hook around so that you can get the rest of the rubber band that's kind of caught back here on the side of the pin forwards, and then just loom the A color rubber band forwards. So just make sure you're careful. So just make sure to be careful here. But anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again. So as you can see, my pins on my loom kind of look like a horseshoe, so you're going to go in kind of this opening here of the horseshoe with your hook. So make sure you have all the rubber bands on top, so you catch them with your hook like this. Okay, once that is true for you, you're going to kind of go around the pin so that you're outside of this rubber band that you need to loom forwards. Now you're going to want to turn your hook, so kind of twist it, so that you can grab this bottom rubber band. So once you've grabbed the bottom rubber band, you're going to want to try to move it around the pin so that you can loom it forwards without it breaking or snapping or getting stuck on this pin here. So that's what you do to loom these A color rubber bands here in the middle. So I'll go ahead and show you what you need to do one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and fast forward myself looming the rest of the middle pin bar. So what you do to loom the rubber bands here in the middle So as you can see, we have this kind of horseshoe looking shaped pin, at least for all my loom. What you do is you go in the top little opening here of the horseshoe, and you make sure that when you're here, that when you kind of move your hook up like this, that it catches all of the rubber bands that are on that pin. Now, if you do have, now with the C color rubber bands, you do not need to catch them, just the other A color rubber bands that are there. And once that you have caught all of the other A color rubber bands that are on top, you're going to kind of move your hook around so that you're off to the side of the rubber band. Make sure you're outside of this next rubber band you need to loom. Now you're going to want to twist your hook so you can grab the A color rubber band on the bottom. Then once you grab the A color rubber band, you're going to want to move the rubber band around as you pull the band up and loom it forwards to the next middle pin. So if my instructions were a little bit weird, at least hopefully you were able to see what I was kind of doing, and hopefully now you know what you need to do. So you're going to go ahead and loom the rest of this middle pin bar, and you're going to stop once you get to the end of the middle pin bar. And don't worry about this cap band here. I will be showing you what to do with that once we finish looming the middle pin bar. So just go ahead and continue. I'm going to fast forward. Just use the pause button if you need to. Okay, so as you can see here, I have now finished looming all of my A color rubber bands, and I've stopped once I got to this last middle pin. And now you should have all of the rubber bands on your loom loomed, and your loom should look something like this. Just gonna go ahead and give you a quick look. Right, and your loom should look something like that. And now what we're going to need to do is we're still going to need our hook, but we're also going to need our clip and one more A color rubber band, or more A color rubber bands, because these A color rubber bands are going to be a part of our extension. So now it's time to make our extension and to take our bracelet off of our loom. Let's not forget that. Alright, so these extra A color rubber bands, I never said anything about them before, and I do apologize, but these are just your extension rubber bands, so you can just get a little handful, or probably less than that, of these. But yeah, I never include the extension rubber bands because everyone has a different size wrist, and you just have to grab a pile of more rubber bands. But anyway, so you're going to need more A color rubber bands, you're going to need your clip, and your hook for taking this bracelet off your loom. Now, first we're going to need to get our clip. Okay, yeah, just run away clip, whatever. So you're going to want to get your clip, and you're going to want to have the arrow on your loom pointing towards you. So this first middle pin should have a cap band on it, the C color cap band on it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to get your clip and attach it to all of the rubber bands on this first middle pin. So this cap band and the last A color rubber band in the single chain, or the backward single chain here. So get your clip, you attach it to this A color rubber band here, the C color cap band, and the bottom A color rubber band. So once you have all of the rubber bands on, you should be able to give them a little tug, just a really little tug. Don't want to break anything. Make sure you have all of the rubber bands on the clip. And then you can go ahead and take your hook and start pulling rubber bands off of your loom. Make sure the arrow is still pointing towards you. What you do is you might want to just take these rubber bands off with your fingers. So first, with this first middle pin, you take the rubber band with the clip on them. Just go ahead and take them off. Now you might want to get your hook. You're going to go ahead and just pull the rubber bands off of each pin, just like so. Slowly making your way up your loom and stopping when you get to this last middle pin. Don't take the rubber bands off of this last middle pin yet. We're going to need them to start making our extension. So, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward myself taking the rubber bands off of my loom. You'll continue as well, but you'll just use the pause button if you need to. Okay, dokay. Oh my. Alright, so, as you can see here, I've pulled all of the rubber bands off of my loom, and now I should have, or we should have, our bracelet so far. It's not quite big enough to fit around our wrist yet, unless you have a really long loom. And in that case, congratulations, I guess. But anyway, you should not have taken the rubber bands off of this last middle pin, and if you did, I told you not to do that. But fortunately, if you did take them off, your bracelet will not fall apart. You'll just have to find these rubber bands that were on this last middle pin, because we're going to now get a color rubber band in our hook. And first we're going to do something with our hook. So we're going to take our hook, we're going to stick it into this last middle pin, and make sure we stick our hook down far enough so that when we have our hook out to the side like this, it catches all of the rubber bands here on this last middle pin on our hook. Once you can confirm everything is on your hook like so, you'll get your A color rubber band, the first one in your extension, put it on your hook like so, and then pull your hook back up through this last middle pin. Once you've done that, make sure this is the only rubber band, this one you put on your hook originally, is the only one that's still on your hook, no other rubber bands. And once that is true, you can go ahead and put the other end of this rubber band you're holding with your fingers onto your hook as well. And now, you can go ahead and take these rubber bands off of this last middle pin. So there we go. That is the first rubber band in our extension, and now we're going to go ahead and make our extension. Now, we will not need our loom for the rest of this tutorial, except for maybe when we need to attach the clip to our extension, but for now we don't need our loom. I'm going to be showing you how to make an extension for your bracelet, a single chain extension, with just your hook. Yep, just your hook. Alright, so to do this, you're going to need more rubber bands and your hook with the rubber bands that you just added onto it. So this one that you have going through all of these other rubber bands in your bracelet, make sure that's still on your hook. Alright, so what we do is we go ahead and get another rubber band, an A color rubber band. We put it on our hook. Then we slide all of these rubber bands that are already on our hook onto this new rubber band we are adding. And once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and put the other end of the new rubber band that you're holding with your fingers onto your hook. And that is how you add one little link to your single chain extension. So I'll show you one more time how you make a single chain extension if you didn't catch that. You get a rubber band, you put it on your hook, the actual hook part of your hook like so. Then you push all of these rubber bands that are already on your hook onto this new rubber band you are adding. Then you're going to go ahead and put the other end of the rubber band you're holding with your fingers, the new one, onto your hook like so, and that is how you add rubber bands. Yes, you add rubber bands to your single chain extension. So, you're just going to go ahead and continue this pattern of moving and adding over and over until you have made your extension long enough so that your bracelet will fit around your wrist. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut the video, just fast forward from here. It's only going to take me a few seconds to finish my extension. And yeah, so continue making your extension, just use the pause button if you need to, and I will see you once it's time to make your bracelet a bracelet. Okay, so as you can see here, I now have my bracelet and my extension made, and now my extension is long enough so my bracelet will fit around my wrist, and yours should be as well. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get our clip on the other end of our bracelet and attach it to this rubber band that's sitting on our hook right now, so the last rubber band in our extension. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get our clip onto this rubber band, obviously, and this is when you might want to get your loom. And what you can do is you can take this rubber band off of your hook and stretch it across any 2 pins on your loom. So you would take it and stretch it across, take it off your hook, and then stretch it across 2 pins like that, and then attach your clip. Now if you don't want to get your loom back out, what you can do instead is keep the rubber band on your hook, grab this rubber band underneath of the rubber band that's on your hook, so this one right here, or just this extension, pull this rubber band or the extension down like so, and that will stretch this rubber band out. Then you can just get your clip and attach it to this stretched out rubber band. Once your clip is on, you can go ahead and just take it off of your hook. And for whatever reason, my clip is doing weird things. There we go. Alright. Fixed it. Alright, and as you can see here, I have my clip on both ends of my bracelet, and once you have yours on as well, you now have your bracelet. And what you can do now is go ahead and put your bracelet on, and bam! So as you can see here, I am now wearing my 2-way triple single bracelet, and now I guess it's time for the outro. So I would like to thank you for watching my tutorial. Hopefully it showed you how to make the 2-way triple single bracelet successfully on just any ordinary loom, not with a special loom where you can just pop this middle pin bar out like this, and then turn it around, which that is the other way you can make this bracelet. You can just turn the pin bar around and make it that way, but I find it a little bit easier to just leave the middle pin bar alone and just go ahead and make the bracelet, because then you don't risk breaking your loom, and you also can make it with any loom using that method. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial, because that's pretty much all I have to say for this tutorial, really. So that's pretty much it. The only other things I need to say are thanks for watching, and bye!